Hey, welcome to another episode of The Art of Bird Photography, where I talk a little bit about the creative choices in taking pictures of birds and maybe sometimes other wildlife, but it's mainly birds because at least I take pictures of birds. Not really because I don't like taking pictures of other animals, actually. I do take pictures of other animals when I can, but I don't often, at least for the past few years, I haven't had too much access to other animals or opportunities to take pictures of other animals, whereas birds are almost everywhere. But actually, that may change soon. I may have some access to other animals, some opportunities to take pictures of other animals, so I'm hoping to do a little bit more of that. But maybe I'll talk more about that a little later. Also, before I start this episode, I would like to say thank you to all my subscribers because I just passed 3,000 subscribers. I actually mentioned in the other video that I was hoping that I'd get some subscribers to get to 3,000. So I just passed 3,000. I love making these videos and I could not continue doing this without your support. Anyone who subscribes, comments, it really helps the channel. So thanks very much. So in this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about sharpness. Now there's so many different ways to accentuate sharpness in a photo, different ways of sharpening. There's selective sharpening, there's using contrast, there's using maybe even some tone curve adjustments to bring out some more detail that accentuates the appearance of sharpness. In this episode, I'm going to talk about sharpness in terms of contrast. And now I have on screen a picture of a bird I'm currently editing. I'm thinking about trying to sharpen this bird. And I noticed that everything is pretty sharp. If you zoom in, you'll see that there's a lot of feather detail here. There's one technique you can use to sharpen, not sharpen, but accentuate the appearance of sharpness in certain areas. Now, I don't recommend doing this all the time. It's a technique that you have to use with caution, and it has to be done subtly and with a very minor effect. But when you do it, it can sometimes help. So here I have a picture of a rufous-collared sparrow. And what I'm going to do here is, I want to add a little bit more appearance of sharpness to the face. What I'm going to do is draw a very gentle drawn mask on the face area. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the coarse level of contrast. Because, look, if I bring up the coarse level of contrast, you see that, obviously that looks horrible, but more contrast can sometimes distract the viewer from the details. So if I bring down the contrast ever so slightly, just a little bit, see the effect of that? Off, on, off, on. When I bring it down, it kind of decreases the contrast a little bit, and therefore you can see a little bit more detail. And then I can also add a little bit more sharpness and fine detail here. So what I did was I decreased the coarse level contrast, increased the fine level contrast, and look what happens. This is before, after. Let's zoom in a little bit to see a little bit more of that detail here. Before and after. What that does is it kind of emphasizes the fine level detail and de-emphasizes the coarse level detail to add a little bit more contrast. That's one technique you can use sometimes if other techniques aren't working for you to give the photo a little bit of an edge. Now, like I said, it's really important to use this technique with subtlety. Apply a very slight decrease in coarse contrast. If you apply too much, it's going to look unnatural. A very slight decrease only is necessary with a soft mask, and that will give you a much better effect, a very slight change. A big change is going to look unnatural, but a small change will just shift the emphasis very slightly. The key is slight. Shift the emphasis slightly from coarse detail to fine detail. So if just adding sharpness isn't giving you the look you're going for, maybe decreasing the coarse contrast just a little bit will allow that fine detail to stand out a little bit more. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Art of Bird Photography on sharpness, and I hope to see you again next time.